message for Hayley Williams and Hayley Williams only. So if you're not Hayley Williams, you can keep scrolling if you want, but I would suggest sticking around to have a little listen to this fun conversation we're about to have. Hayley has, for those of you who don't know, released a collection of songs, 17 songs, and she's actually asked her fans and the public to put them in order for a physical collection. I had to make a video and I spent kind of the weekend, and I know that she's also spending this weekend kind of putting it together, so I don't know if I'm too late, but I had to get this out there because I've worked in the music industry for going on 10 years and I've really been a true believer listening to albums in order because I always think that the order that the albums are put in is for a reason, and I'm always the one begging people to not put their albums on shuffle. But, you know, when ordering these tracks, I really delved into my own past and my knowledge about album development and story arcs and, you know, the overall feelings of song transitions and all of that stuff that I love about albums. So I really loved this experience. It was definitely a more hands-on personal experience. So thank you to Hayley and your team for that. A few things to preface. I have not looked at anyone else's orders. I've seen Hayley's stories like tapping through them and I've tried not to look. I know a lot of people have been putting Kill Me first, and I almost did too, but I didn't let it affect my judgment, and then I also just don't want anyone else's orders to affect my judgment. So I just wanted to kind of stay away from that and order it how I feel the story should be told. I still think these songs stand really beautifully on their own, and I can't wait to see how they're ordered. Here's the story that I see. I also want to preface this by saying that I'm Australian, as you can hear by my accent, and I don't know the full goings on of the politics in the US. I do, however, know enough about global politics to kind of go along with some of the messages in some of the songs. So I have done my best to include that. I also just want to preface my personal favorite songs on the album before we get started. On the album, it's not an album, it's a collection of songs. Anyway, in no particular order because I don't know, but there are 5 songs that I specifically just love so much. And they are Whim, Brotherly Love, Glum, Hard, and Love Me Different. So as I'm going through these, remember, maybe keep in mind that they are my 5 kind of favorite songs, and you know, I haven't put them first because I love them. I've, you know, ordered them in the way that I think that they should be ordered. Also, I wanted to mention that I'm not wearing a Paramore or Hayley Williams merch. I don't actually own any Hayley Williams merch. I have to change that. But I have heaps of Paramore merch that I'm not currently wearing. But I am wearing this Senpai's JP jumper, which, if I show you the back, it's giving, I don't know if you can see that, it's giving Dream Girl and Shibuya. So that's why I'm wearing this. Stick around with me while I tell you the song order. I'm going to put them here and kind of talk a little bit through why I'm putting the songs the way that I'm putting them. I'll also put a screenshot at the end for you to pause and read of my detailed notes on each song. 17 songs. First song. It's going to be controversial. Ice in My OJ. It absolutely slaps as an establishing track. It tells us a little bit about her story so far. I'm in a band, got ice in my OJ, I'm a cold hard bitch. You know, like, it's just the perfect establishing track. Tells us a little bit about Hayley as a person and where she's been and who she is, and it slaps. I love it. So ice in my OJ first. Second, Whim. It feels like a really good second song, and it starts off the story about the love interest or the relationship arc. You know, I want to be in love to believe in us sans sabotage really establishes her feelings about the relationship. So I think that that's a really good second song. And then third, Kill Me. So I know people put this first, but I've put it third. I think that it transitions really nicely into the personal arc of Hayley. It just feels right. Yeah, here at number 3. So Icing My OJ, Whim, and Kill Me. They're the first 3 songs. I've kind of, as you'll see, I've gone and kind of sectioned certain sections of the album. So that's kind of the first one. Then we're going into Zissou. I hope I'm saying that right. We're back into the relationship dream world for these 2 songs. So see if you can guess what the next song is going to be by me saying that. This one is deep into the physical side, you know. There's, I don't know how to pronounce it, but it translates into "come here, give me your tongue," I think, at the end of the song. So I feel like that kind of world is, this song is very like within the, not lustful, but like physical side of the relationship. And then we head straight into Dream Girl in Shibuya, which continues the relationship arc, but this time more in a longing way, in an emotional way. She's doing anything to just keep her feeling wanted. Cool. From here, we move into song number 6, which is True Believer. Now, we're getting into the political arc for these 2 songs. Again, see if you can tell me what the next song is going to be. But yeah, we're really getting back into reality from this like kind of dream arc that we've just gone through where she's been taken away. Now we're back into reality. This is obviously talking about the South, racism, Nashville, all of this stuff that's been kind of spoken about this song already. It's absolutely brilliant. It's really clever, and yeah, I love it. And I love the idea of brotherly hate coming straight after True Believer, because it is a hard reminder that everyone is brothers. And the lyric that you could make each other small or just make each other great is such a hard-hitting, like, punch in the stomach. And it really talks to wars, it really talks to racism, it really talks to the Middle East, it talks to everything. Like, it's just, you can make each other small or make each other great, like, you know? And then, but furious roots just won't give way, like, you know, it just won't happen kind of thing, and that hopelessness of that. And then obviously my favorite part of this song, and again, this was in my top 5, but nick your hand, spit into it, shake hands, that's how we do it. It's a, you know, it's a shake, it's a brother shake. I don't know what you call it. It's a spit shake. I don't know what they call it, but it's like, just spit into your hands, shake, and let's get done with all this. Let's get, what did she say? Let's get this shit together, motherfuckers. Like, you know, it's just so good. And I think that coming straight out of True Believer, it's like, True Believer talks about like the emotional side of racism, and specifically in the South, I guess. But then Brotherly Hate just takes that to a global stage and just really says like, come on guys, like you can do this, you can do this. Anyway, so I love those 2 songs together. Moving on, we're going back into the personal arc with Negative Self-Talk. I feel like all of this like political discourse can really get to us sometimes, and I think the negative self-talk feels like a natural transition into this, because they've really kind of gone from all of this anger externally to then all of this anger internally. We then go into Blood Bros. I don't know if we call it Blood Brothers or Blood Bros, but it's a glimmer of comfort from the relationship arc. You know, it feels like after you talk to yourself and you're negative to yourself, it feels only natural to fall into the arms of somebody who you're so comfortable with, even if that relationship is tarnished. I think like the lyrics, now we're just blood brothers covered in paper cuts with a bond like no other. It's like, you know, you feel so vulnerable within yourself and you fall into that person. And then the third song of this kind of little collection, 8, 9, and 10 tracks, is something else you fall into, and something that, you know, you can become reliant on, and that can be good. and that's mirtazapine. And I think that conceptually it just makes sense to transition from negative self-talk to falling into somebody that you're bound to then falling into a drug. And that realization from Blood Bros, coming from that and then singing into this kind of true love song, which is about the only thing which is keeping you alive and eating and sleeping and dreaming, which is mirtazapine. So we're up to song 10. You still with me? Cool. Let's do a little recap so far. So we've got Ice in My OJ, Whim, Kill Me, Zissou, Dream Girl and Shibuya, True Believer, Brotherly Hate, Negative Self-Talk, Blood Bros, mirtazapine. Coming up with Discovery Channel, I feel like it feels fun because of like the reference, I guess, but also just a bit of contentness within herself, going from mirtazapine into this, falling back into that barbaric bliss of lust, which is also something that, you know, can happen when you're on specific medications. And then that also transitions really nicely into ego death at a bachelorette party, because when you're feeling lustful and barbaric, like all you want to do is just be in that space. I feel like bars and clubs and karaoke bars and all of that really falls into this state of mind. But at the same time, in this song, she's realizing that she's better than all of that, and she's better than all of these people, and she has this moment of self-bliss or an ego boost. But that comes tumbling down with the next track, which is Glum. I feel like she's just gone out and she's been on this high, and she's been out and realizing that she's so much better than all of these people and having this ego trip. And then she comes back into herself and realizes that she feels so alone, and she feels like she's made of something else. And she says, we need to go back to wherever we're from. And I feel like the bridge, I'm going to read it to you. On my way to 37 years, I do not know if I'll ever know what in the living fuck I'm doing here. Does anybody know if this is normal? I feel like that just really feels like a great ending to this chapter and even the album. But then Hard, which is the next song, and the tracks to follow serve as like an encore or a self-reawakening. Anyway, so now that I've told you what the next song is, Hard, it just follows really well because, you know, I can't get too soft because I'm too hard, and my ribs are metal cages to guard my heart. It feels like she's closing herself off from her emotional side, and she's going back to her past to reflect on what she's gone through, which, you know, after feeling so alone, it kind of like makes sense that you're so vulnerable and feel so alone. And then you're like, I'm too hard, like you can't get to me, you know. And I really like the reference. Armor's heavy, never suited me at all, but it's the devil I know. Maybe potentially it's a Petals for Armor reference and takes us back to the softness of wearing armor. We've got 3 songs left, and I feel like this trope that's coming up, this trio to end this album, is just so good. So we're going to start with number 15, I Won't Quit on You. She's back on the relationship arc with the purpose of being like, yeah, I feel glum, I feel hard. These are all the things I'm feeling in myself, but I still won't quit on you. And then that leads into Disappearing Man. It really reaffirms the fact that even though she won't quit, with lyrics like, love, you're not the only one who is lonely. My final act of love was surrender. She's there too, you know? And I think that also it's the perfect, melodically, it's the perfect second last track. And it leads perfectly into the last track, which I'll get to in a minute. She also looks to her past for an explanation for her feelings. So I don't know if anyone else picked this up. I'm sure people picked it up. Like, I'm sure I'm not the only one. The lyric in Disappearing Man had to come up for air because I know better than to hold my breath for too long. Instantly I knew it was a lyric reference to Dead Horse, which is off Petals for Armor. So the lyric is, held my breath for a decade, dyed my hair blue to match my lips. Cool of me to try, pretty cool, I'm still alive. And I think that when Petals for Armor came out, that lyric hit me personally really hard And so instantly I knew I kind of connected the two. Anyway, so that feels like the perfect second last track that kind of sums up her feeling about this whole arc. And then that leads us into the final track of what I think the album should be, which is Love Me Different. I think it bangs as a final song, first of all. It's a perfect summary of the story that is on this album. And it's a reintroduction to potentially the new era of Hayley, because she wants someone to love her different. So yeah, that is my album order for Ego. Album? I don't know. Physical collection order for Ego. I See My OJ, Whim, Kill Me. Zissou, Dream Girl in Shibuya. True Believer, Brotherly Hate. Negative Self-Talk, Blood Bros, Metazapine. Discovery Channel, Ego Death at a Bachelorette Party. Glum, Hard, I Won't Quit on You, Disappearing Man, and Love Me Different. Let me know what you think. It's a long video, so if you're still here, congrats, you made it to the end. If you skipped here to see what my song order is, here they are. If you want to go back and listen to my explanation of why, you can. Otherwise, I'm going to put a screenshot of my explanation right now, so you can read that instead. Okay. Mwah. Thank you for another great collection of songs, Hayley. I hope I get to see them live